Good morning and welcome to the Geeky Pastimes Daily Podcast on the 14th of June 2023. Just a heads up, this will be the last podcast for a little while. I'm going on a trip tomorrow morning. I'm not going to be back until like the 23rd, so like just over a week we're going to be gone. But maybe Friday the 23rd, depending on how awake I am. We might be doing another podcast then. So I'm afraid you're going to have about a week and a day with no podcast. Sad times. Speaking about the podcast, we recently got to episode 50, kind of, although YouTube's telling me it's only episode 48, so maybe I can't count very well. But I'm sort of, getting to a crossroads with it, as I do with all projects, of deciding whether or not to keep this going every morning. Obviously, there's lots of things when you're doing content creation to bear in mind. It's like, how much time does this take? How much do you enjoy it? And how much is it growing your channel? And how much money do you make? And for the podcast, it's like quite difficult for me because it doesn't take that much time really. Like it's, pretty good. I do about an hour's worth of research and making a thumbnail and everything. And then about an hour of recording it. And then maybe like 10 minutes to upload it to Spotify. But it's not really growing the channel. It's not making me getting me new subscribers because I think the only people that watch it are people who already know who I am and already watch it. And it's not making me any money, like basically at all. So we'll see. Like, if you do enjoy this and you want it to keep on going, please do send your support, whether that is, you can do it for free. You don't spend any money, but like share it with people, encourage other people to give it a listen. Let me know on social media if you are enjoying these and if you want these to continue. And, financially, people becoming members and stuff like that. If this was something where it's like, hey, I'm making a little bit of money every day, then I'm much more likely to do it. For now, it's going to continue. I just thought I'd give a heads up. I've always been super transparent about my content creation, and I think it's interesting. I've always enjoyed listening to content creators talking about kind of why they do things, why they don't do things, why they start and stop things. And so I quite, I like talking about that stuff. Funnily enough, I like talking about myself. So yeah, I've been doing a lot of kind of thinking about content creation and stuff like that over the last 24 hours or so. Got a holiday coming up, which is a good time for it, so I can kind of have a bit of a break, reset, think about what's going on with it, think about what I want from all of this and how much I want to continue doing it. And then when we come back, maybe there'll be some changes, maybe there won't, maybe we'll just keep on going and it'll all be the same. We'll see how it's going. But on that line, I did actually start a new channel this morning. I'm always like saying like, oh yeah, I don't know, like, am I going to be able to continue doing this? And then I'm like, but I'm going to start this new project. I've just started a new channel for my Starfield stuff. So if any of you want to follow that, it is GP Starfield on YouTube. I think it should just work out if I do like youtube.com/GP Starfield. I think that should work. I'm currently uploading first video. Yeah, there we go. I'll put a link in chat just if anyone does want to follow it. Only follow it though if you want to watch Starfield videos, because that's all it's going to be. There's definitely I was watching a Diablo video yesterday. That's what kind of sparked this off. And the guy was talking about how he was celebrating that his Diablo 4 channel that he'd set up just for the launch of Diablo 4 to do like guides and tips and tricks and stuff to really sort of deep dive into that, had surpassed his main channel. He'd got like 70,000 viewers or something like that on his main channel. And now his Diablo channel was like 89,000. And obviously that doesn't happen to everyone. Obviously that's ignoring the thousands of people that set up Diablo channels and it didn't kick off. But it did make me think that I've always been very, very aware that one of the biggest problems with my content creation is that I don't just like one thing. Like, I jump around a lot. So I know that, like, there's a bunch of people who followed me right at the very beginning when I started streaming because I played Animal Crossing, and there wasn't many people like me who were streaming Animal Crossing. And then there was like a bunch of people that followed me because I was doing Warzone Easter eggs, and there weren't many people who were making videos about Warzone Easter eggs because, it was the first one, Bunker 11 and stuff like that. And then there was a bunch of people that followed me because I was doing data mining and stuff when I did that for like a month. So I probably got like, I think I got like 1,000 viewers then, 1,000 followers then. So there was a bunch of people who just wanted to see that. And then there was like Porn Takes Porn and all of the other Easter eggs. So it really became like an Easter egg channel and a place where people who were interested in Easter eggs kind of gathered. And I don't think I've ever entirely lost that. And then, over time, it was like I got more involved with Call of Duty. They were sending me stuff. They were getting me involved in things. So I was doing more Call of Duty news and updates and stuff like that. And then like over the last year or two, since I've been doing it full time, I've really kind of, I've gone through loads of different phases where like, oh, I spent ages on DMZ and I, really got into doing the missions on that. And the problem is that I get bored sometimes of things like, I didn't want to be playing DMZ every day when we'd run out of things to do. I know there's some people who are amazing at that, and Fixate and Stod and Westy and Sinister, and they all like come up with their own challenges and stuff like that to push themselves. And, Westy and Stod have each other to always play with. And Fixate and Sinister are happy playing solo, like they enjoy the challenge of playing solo and stuff like that. And I just didn't have that kind of passion for it. So I just started playing other things, I just started moving over and playing a bit of Diablo here and there and playing like, I've been doing Formula One for the last couple of days on Twitch. And all of that stuff kind of hurts your channels. Like all of that damages it. Like if I look at my YouTube videos, it's like my DMZ videos still do really well. My Warzone videos kind of fell off a cliff when I lost my passion for Warzone 2, which I really did, like Warzone 2, when it launched, I was really excited about it and my videos were doing quite well for it. And then you can see, like, as I lost interest in it because they started, they took away the 2v2 gulag, they took away a lot of the stuff that was interesting about AI to me. They brought in loads of the loadout stuff, so it went back to being loads of meta videos, this is the most OP gun, that kind of stuff. I lost kind of my interest in watching Warzone content and in making Battle Royale stuff. And you can see that then whenever I did do something, I did like a spectating thing or a good game here and there, I just didn't get the views because, obviously I'd been negative about it to my community. It makes sense that people would maybe be less excited. And when I've made videos about other games, the videos tend to do really badly, and I've had sponsorship opportunities like the Redfall video, and that did super badly. And my Starfield video on this channel didn't do very well the other day. It did fine, it didn't do terribly, but it's not good. It didn't do well. And it does kind of just make me think, okay, I need to maybe one way of rescuing this situation, one way of stopping my personal, what's the word? Where you flip from one thing to another. How fickle I am? Maybe my short attention span maybe would be served better by having multiple different channels, having like different channels for different things. So a new game comes out, I make a new channel for that where the subscribers are only people who are interested in that content, who are interested in watching that stuff. And, I'll keep this with Call of Duty. I'll keep Geeky Pastimes, the podcast, and Call of Duty, because that's kind of what I built my audience doing, at least Call of Duty, not necessarily the podcast. And then when I want to start getting into another game, I'll just make another channel and see if it works, see if it doesn't. And that's kind of how we're going. And, like the Twitch streams are always going to stay a little bit casual, I think. I do and ah sometimes about whether I should bring the Call of Duty streams back over to here, back over to YouTube, just because I got more viewers. But it's always difficult. They're like, I got more viewers, probably more growth from it, but I made less money. People were much less willing to become a YouTube member because people aren't used to that kind of thing, I think. And they don't see the value in it compared to becoming a Twitch sub, which is very easy. You have Prime subs, people are used to gifting, all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's a difficult one. I'm always open to if people have ideas about what they like to see. I'm always a bit wary when people are like, this is what you should do. And you look and they're not a content creator. And it's like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that makes sense in your head, but when you actually try it, it doesn't work out so well. But if people have ideas about what they like to engage with and what they are enjoying, then that's always good to hear. Stuff like that where you're like, oh, you don't need to spend so long doing this, like this doesn't really work. I don't watch these videos because of this. This video wasn't very interesting to me because of that. Sort of feedback is actually kind of interesting. I quite like it on my Discord and stuff because then it's a bit more chilled. If you're doing it in the middle of a live stream, sometimes I can be a bit like, oh, I don't want negativity now. I don't want criticism now. But yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at. I'm just kind of rethinking my approach to successful content, and maybe I've been spending the last 2 years experimenting a lot, and I think I'm going to pull back on that a little bit, and maybe try to cover a few less games. Maybe try to focus a little bit more on Call of Duty with this channel, and move other stuff to other channels. We'll see. But yeah, so anyway, I mean, the long and short of it is I started a new Starfield channel this morning because last night I was up all night thinking about this. And I was thinking, I'm super excited about Starfield. I would like to get into Starfield. I would like to do things like when that game comes out, do loads of guides, do loads of, tips and tricks type things, do funny moments, do some shorts and stuff like that, all about Starfield. And doing that on this channel would hurt it. like doing it on this channel would be bad for the content, bad for me. Doing it on this new channel means I don't make any money, at least until I've got like, I think it's now 500 subscribers. But you know, maybe I'll get that. I was surprised actually. I was looking at, I've got a Geeky Pastimes channel that I only ever uploaded one video to because it originally didn't do very well. And I was looking at that channel and it's like, oh, the one video I put on there is on like 2,000 views, which isn't bad for a channel that's got one video on it. You know, I was relatively happy. And it was just a video, you know, me talking about roller coasters I like. That was it. I think there's definitely, I think on YouTube at least, going a bit more niche is the way to go. I think it's really easy to look at people like Jack Frags or Tom Graphic and be like, oh, well, they managed to make videos about loads of different games. Like, I'd like to do that. And that's kind of what I was thinking a couple of years ago. I was like, oh, yeah, I should do that. And then, like Jack has said to me many times when he's talked about this stuff, it's like, it was a very different world when he made his channel and he built his audience. And it's like, now his audience is used to seeing him playing different games. You know, like Two Angry Gamers, Tom Graphic, people like that. They've been doing this for a long while. And it's like trying to build an audience now is a little bit different. It's a little bit trickier. You know, everything about it is a bit different. And you really, I think focusing on one or two things is much, much better. Originally, when I made this channel, like originally when I created the channel, I was thinking, I called it Geeky Pastimes because I wanted to have my theme park stuff and my video game stuff. And I was like, surely there's an audience of people who are into video games and into theme parks. Like, surely there's a crossover there and that could be a fun niche. But it's like those two things are so different. And all what happened was I ended up having people who watched theme park stuff, didn't care about video game stuff. People who watched the video game stuff didn't care about the theme park stuff. So when my videos went out with notifications, the click-through rate was terrible because there was like, you know, half of my audience wouldn't care about one thing or the other. And, you know, like then that got massively swayed where it's like, oh, okay, so now after Porn Takes Porn, I've now gone from, you know, having a few hundred people watching to having like 1,000 people watching or 10,000 people watching. That's really good for my video game videos, but then any theme park videos will get no one watching because, you know, 99% of my audience aren't there for that. So it was, you know, like that was a early lesson in, hey, you probably shouldn't try to do everything. You probably shouldn't try to be a jack of all trades. That doesn't work so well. So yeah, it's been an interesting one. It's been a slow news day, by the way. I'm not like getting in the way of video game news. Because all the conferences were before, there's not that many new things to talk about. We will, though. We're going to talk about Overwatch. We're going to talk a little bit about a couple of other bits and pieces that are coming out. But I quite like talking about this stuff on it. I'm just going to answer some of the questions in chat because they're interesting. Thundergun said he found out about me during Porn Takes Porn. Marley13 credited me with figuring out the Easter eggs. Yeah, I was really lucky. Like, there's a lot of creators who talked about me early on, and that helped me a bunch. You know, I know Jack Frags, Ink Slasher, Marley13. There's a bunch of these people like Ink Slasher and Marley13. I've never really spoken to. You know, I've had a couple of DMs of Ink Slasher. I've never spoken to Marley. But it was like really nice of them to like go out of their way to be like, hey, you should check this guy out, he's doing this. Like, that was super nice. And I try to do that a little bit. Like, I don't think I do it enough really, but I always think like there's, you know, other channels who people should support because they're really good. You know, and they do really interesting things. And I've tried to do it on Twitch, you know, raids and stuff like that a little bit. But that was really nice of some of those really big creators to do that. And so that helped me a huge amount early on. And I think like it was very easy for me to see that kind of growth and think it was going to carry on forever. Whereas really it was kind of like that wasn't organic growth, like that was kind of boosted growth, you know, by someone, thankfully, by someone just being nice and doing it out of the blue. I didn't ask any of them to. But that was really, really cool. But it wasn't like sustainable. It kind of gave me a massive kick. And if you look at like my subscriber graph, you can see it's like sort of like steadily going up. Then there's a massive ramp up. Then it steadily goes up. Then there's a massive ramp up. And it's just like when an event happened. It wasn't ever because the algorithm liked me or because I hit like a good thing on YouTube or hit a good trend or something like that. It was always just because there was an event where I happened to be a big part of it. And like that was it. You know, and part of that is my work. I don't want to play myself down too much. Like part of that was me spending a lot of time when I knew that it was something that mattered and, you know, staying up till 4 in the morning, making videos to try and be the first one to do something or rallying up a community to try and organize something, stuff like that. Like it was a lot of work as well. It wasn't just luck, but like, you know, luck plays a big part of it as well, which kind of makes it a bit more difficult. Luke said, "Do I ever feel burnout on Call of Duty?" Oh yeah, 100%. I don't like. I was literally last night. I mean, last night I played a bit of on Twitch. We played a bit of just trying to get the nukes. Me and Flynn and Name Gear went on, tried to do some of those nuke contracts, and it was going badly. Like out of only played for 2 hours, but I didn't. We only got 2 nuke contracts, and we didn't do very well with them. And I was kind of a bit raging by the time we finished. I just ended the stream because I was like, yeah, I'm not really having any fun. And then I kind of came away from it and I was like, do I even like playing Call of Duty? And I've realized this, like with season 4 going tonight, and I shouldn't be saying this, like, there's 34 of you here. I apologize to all of you. Just ignore that I'm about to say this. But I'm not really that hyped for season 4. And it's like, I shouldn't be saying that because I want everyone to come watch me on Twitch. I want to stream it when season 4 goes live at 5 o'clock. I'll be live streaming, ready to go. I've got the pre-download done on my PlayStation, so I'll be ready to go. There won't be waiting around for a download or anything like there was last time. Like, all of that stuff, super excited, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, in my heart, I'm a little bit like, I'm not like feeling it. I'm not feeling that excitement of like, oh my God, it's a new map. Oh my God, DMZ's getting all these changes. Oh my God, there's new weapons to try. It's just kind of like, oh yeah, there's another Call of Duty thing that I've got to do. I'll probably be super tired today, getting all of that done. And then I'll make a bunch of videos tonight. And the ones that I think will do really well will do terribly. And then one that I think will do terribly will hopefully do well. And then I'm on holiday early tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning I need to drive to the airport to go on holiday. And I'm going to be tired because I would have stayed up all night doing videos. And it's just kind of like, it's not bringing me the happiness that I would hope for from something like this. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of the season 4 changes that were revealed yesterday. People were talking about the stuff that's happened and Vonda and everything. And then, yesterday there was also a lot of stuff going on with leaks. I was like a little bit, to be honest, there's an element of it is just jealousy. An element of it was like, I was already in a bad mood about Call of Duty because there's all of these creators posting their videos of the new map, talking about how they got flown out to Los Angeles to go play on the new map. Other people are talking about, there was some creator call that I wasn't invited to. And it's kind of, I understand in my heart that, people who have hundreds of thousands of subscribers are going to get flown out to Los Angeles. Someone with 30,000 subscribers is not going to get flown out to Los Angeles. But it kind of, I went from a year ago or two when Caldera came out, I was invited to a sort of, not an in-person event, but a digital event where I got to play Caldera early. And I got to, try out the map and record a load of content and get ready. So then when the big content drop happened, when like the new maps and stuff, like everyone posted their videos, I was posting my videos at the same time as everyone else's, which, as I've said, for a smaller channel is a massive deal. And with the creator cool stuff, the thing that it lets you do is prepare content. So then when the embargo's up, you've got a video ready to go. You can hit that wave of people searching for it before the patch goes live. All of that good stuff. And it's just like not getting invited to that stuff just kind of makes you think like, oh, like, so now I'm at a disadvantage, like content wise, my content is, going to struggle to do as well. And it kind of makes me think like the company cares a lot less about me, which again sounds like it's just a stupid jealousy thing. And it's a stupid kind of quite petty thing where it's like, I've gone from back in the days of Porn Takes Porn, Call of Duty were like sending me stuff. They were inviting me to like digital things and creator calls. I could like really sort of like do a lot of stuff with the content. And it was, it's exciting to get sent like a Call of Duty hoodie or something like that, or one of the Porn Takes Porn boxes that I've got up there. Like that stuff is exciting as a creator and it makes you feel like you're part of this like creator community. And it sort of, I don't know, it gives you a bit more energy to do that sort of stuff. And then all of that just kind of stopped. The person who was like doing that was my connection to Activision at the time left to move to a different company. And then they were replaced by someone who didn't really know who I was, didn't care about any of my content. And then they ended up, eventually trying to build up a relationship with them. They left, replaced by somebody else. And now it's like, I don't really get invited to anything. I have to pester to get anything. And I get, occasionally they send me some COD points. And like that's cool. Getting sent the COD points is cool. But that's kind of it. It's like now the American Call of Duty community management team, like they know who I am. They've messaged me a couple of times, but like they don't care because, my numbers aren't so big or because I don't have those relationships with those people or whatever it is. And that kills my enthusiasm a little bit as well. You know, it's like before there were various things that would motivate me to make Call of Duty content, and it was like I was having fun with the game was the main thing. I had a big community who were enjoying watching me and lots of interaction and stuff. And I had the interaction from the developers, which was really exciting. And it's like I've basically lost the interaction with developers. Like I just don't have that anymore. I'm not been having as much fun with the game as I was. And you know, the community, like last night I was streaming nuke attempts in Warzone and had like 14 viewers on Twitch or something. Whereas earlier in the day, I was streaming the Formula One 2023 story mode and had 40 viewers. And it's like like all of those three things are like making it less exciting to do Call of Duty content. You know, it's like really the thing that makes me do Call of Duty content now is like when there is something that I enjoy, like when there's something in particular. So something about DMZ that I'm enjoying, something, you know, a chance like when I'm playing with Flynn and I'm having a good time doing that. Like it's stuff like that, but it's not consistent. It's not every day. Like I don't have the motivation every day to make Call of Duty content like I used to do, which is a kind of a shame. Just reading some more things. Why So Salty said, would just having a second game playing channel be enough? Test the popularity on that, and then if it's successful, move it to main. Not really. You can't move an audience. Like, it just doesn't work. You can't, like, test something on another channel, then move it onto your main channel. That it's just more that channel becomes your main channel. Moving audiences is incredibly hard. That's why, you know, I think it's a massive mistake I made. One day, if I ever stop doing content creation, and I have actually been talking about getting a job, like I've been, one of my friends is hiring, and I was like, yeah, maybe. Like I'm just deciding whether I want to try and go for it or not. But one of the things that I really messed up with my streaming was I was a Twitch partner. I had, you know, 70, 80 viewers every stream, and that was going quite well. And then I really hated Twitch and I really wanted to stream on YouTube. And so I spent ages getting out of my Twitch partnership. I tanked my Twitch views, kind of not entirely on purpose, but it wasn't not on purpose. I wasn't trying to grow on Twitch. I was trying to argue with them that they didn't want me as a partner. And so I got out of that. Then I streamed on YouTube for a while, ended up getting up to like 200 average viewers for a while on YouTube, which was amazing. And then I decided, like, actually, there's a lot of things I don't like about YouTube streaming. I'm going to move back over to Twitch. Well, I tried Kick for a little bit and I was like, no, this isn't right. And then I went back to Twitch, and now, you know, like, and all of those times, a lot of the audience don't come with you. There's like the core of you do. You know, there's like a dozen of you that do, and that's awesome. But it's like every time I do that, I'm losing a lot of people. And there's a lot of people who are just like, oh, he's not on Twitch anymore. I'll watch someone else on Twitch. And they just find someone else to watch at the same time they used to watch me. And that happens every time. And it's like, I genuinely think moving platforms is probably one of the worst things I've done, content creation wise. I think I should have stuck with Twitch at the beginning. I don't really regret not streaming on YouTube as much anymore, just because that I think streaming on YouTube is a very strange thing, and I think it works very well if you've got a very big channel. I don't think it works as well for smaller channels, and I don't think it works very well if you stream lots of different games. If you stream one game all the time and you've got quite a big community, YouTube is incredible. Like, so many positives to it. If you bounce between different games or you don't have a big community, YouTube is a way to spend an insane amount of time on stuff and not see anything back from it, like not get anything back from it. And that's a problem. Like, I'm seeing that with these podcasts. Like, with these podcasts, it's not contributing to growth. I was just looking earlier at all of my, like, the views on these podcasts and thinking, you know, oh, well, in theory, people seem to be liking them. They've got, like, insanely good like ratios. You know, loads of them are just at 100% likes with, like, you know, with, like, 30 likes, which is cool. And then, but when I look at it, it's like, oh, okay, so if I look at the very, very first ones, the first times I was doing these podcasts, I was getting about 400 views, 400 views. There's a couple where I got, like, a few more, like the Call of Duty Pay to Win one, or the one where I got to speak to a designer. But most of them, like, 400, 500, 700 views. And then I look at the more recent ones, and it's like, okay, a couple of them have got up to, like, maybe 900, 600, but most of them are still at 300, 400. And it's like, that makes me think that this isn't growing. Like, this is kind of speaking to a community that I already have. And, you know, getting a few hundred views on YouTube isn't going to make you any money. You need thousands. and it's just not grown like that. So that sort of like immediately makes a problem. Anyway, sorry, I'm going away from the questions. I'm just rambling, really. Sugar Glider said, Jack's new PUBG video shows why he's best, always just able to have fun while getting drawn. Oh yeah, Jack's amazing at making anything fun. He makes every game look fun. He's very good at like kind of, one thing he does that I've always been very jealous of, that I've tried to imitate in the past, but it's way harder than it looks, is being completely in the game. Like, he will be playing a game, and he will be reacting to things in the game, noticing things, pointing things out, and it's all very much like as if he's immersed in the game. Whereas, like, I find it hard not to play games and talk about them as a game, sort of like drop into that kind of meta level of being sort of like, oh, well, like the difficulty on this is a bit annoying, or the graphics aren't very good, or are good, or whatever. And it's like I'm talking about it as a game, whereas he's talking about it more as a story. And that's like, that makes his videos on things like Star Citizen and Hunt Showdown and stuff like that, where they're games that I probably wouldn't enjoy playing that much. They make them way more fun because it's the story, it's his experience that's the fun thing, not the game so much. You know, and that helps a lot. That helps a lot. Why So Salty said, I'm not a massive fan of subbing to multiple channels for one creator if they're of a similar style, as it means having to prune channels when that channel stops, etc. Oh yeah, 100%, and that's fine. No problem with people not doing it. I've got absolutely no issue with any of you not subbing to my Starfield channel. I would rather you didn't sub to the Starfield channel than you did, but then didn't want to watch the videos. You know, it's like, it's just there. If people want to watch my Starfield content, I made a separate channel for it. If you don't want to watch Starfield content, carry on. Like, it's that kind of thing. It's really just more of a sticking with a niche thing. Affa said, is the biggest difficulty at the moment the very loud negative voices found in Call of Duty? No, not at all. That's something that, like, again, like, you know, as I move on, as I get older, as I get wiser and more experienced, I change my mind about a little bit. I used to think that was a problem. I used to think it was like an issue that, you know, Charlie Intel's complaining about Call of Duty, or, you know, Tim the Tatman or whoever, like big streamers complaining about the game made everything negative. But I'm not trying to get their audience. And if anything, if they're being super negative about the game, then if I'm enjoying it and being positive, like I was when Warzone 2 came out, then that's good for me. Because, you know, some of those people might be like, oh, I don't want to see someone being negative about it. I want to hop over to see someone being positive about it. So I think, like, in terms of viewership and stuff like that, I don't think them being negative about it really affects me at all. I don't think anything they do really affects me. The only thing I would say that, you know, still I haven't changed my mind on, that still bothered me, is the leaks and the data mining and stuff. That, like, really does spoil any kind of ability to do news. And it's kind of why I didn't make this like a Call of Duty news podcast. And I know, like, after I started this, Doug and Charlie Intel started up their own Call of Duty news podcast. So that would have been fun, competing against the people with millions of viewers. But anyway, it's, yeah, like, I didn't want to make it a Call of Duty news one because I don't want to talk about leaks. And if you don't want to talk about leaks, that means other people have more interesting things to talk about. Like, other people have more to talk about. They will talk about things earlier. They will talk about things probably in more depth because they've got, you know, more than just the press releases and stuff to go on. And it means I can't do much speculation. I can't be like, oh, I hope this happens, or I wonder what this is going to mean, because there's always just going to be someone in chat or someone in the comments being like, oh, it's this. Charlie Intel told me. It's like, great. So like that has affected my content. Like, if ideally I would love to do a website or a YouTube channel where I was focusing on like gaming news and, you know, opinion pieces about games and stuff like that. Like, that would be the dream. But I think while there's this like kind of culture of just getting information out there first and just sort of like leaking everything, and I don't want to be a part of that, which is my choice. You know, that's my decision. That is my, and, you know, I used to think a lot about, oh, I'm creating like a little bubble away from leaks. I'm creating a little bubble away from data mines. And that doesn't work. Like, I've talked about it a little bit to Maida and stuff, who was modding for me for years, that it doesn't work, and it just causes way more stress than you want, because you can't create a like walled garden on the internet. You can't make it so you know, like the dream was that I would create streaming and videos for people who didn't want to read the leaks, for people who didn't want spoilers, for people who didn't want to have data mines, people who wanted to get hyped up about trailers and stuff like that. And it doesn't work because you can't ever stop people coming in and spoiling it. And they will, you know, people will always come in. And a lot of the time, when I say they're coming in spoiling it, I don't mean they're trying to be mean and they're trying to be bad people. I mean, if I say something like, oh, I wonder what this is going to be in DMZ, someone thinks that they're helping me by saying, oh, it's this. Because they don't understand like rhetorical questions. They don't understand the fun of speculation, stuff like that. They just think that you're asking for help. And, you know, people on the internet love bloody explaining stuff to people. And so, you know, whether that's in chat or comments, they cannot wait to explain stuff to you. And so they just blurt it out and and that destroys everything. You know, say if there is like, they've been hinting that there's secrets on the new map in Call of Duty on Vondel. They've said something about, oh, there might be some secrets to find. If that leaks before the map goes live, I won't be able to, like, there'll be no point doing an Easter egg hunt. Like, that would just completely destroy that content. It'd be like, oh, well, now I just do the things that other people have told me to do. And that just, like, completely destroys the hype, completely destroys the point in doing the content. Then it turns into I'm just doing a guide because then some people will watch that, like, and I'll make some money from it. And that's it. You know, it, like, kills my enjoyment of it completely. So it's like, it's very frustrating to try and take up this stance of no leaks, no spoilers. And I keep it up. Like, I keep up the idea of it. I keep up the idea of, I don't want people talking about leaks in my chat. I don't want people talking about leaks on my Discord. But it's like, it's very draining to enforce. And it massively limits my community. Like, there's a lot of people who don't come near any of my content anymore because I've been a dick to them. I've basically been like, I've told them to go away at some point because they've tried to leak something. And you, like, it's just not worth the stress. It's really not. I still prefer to not have things leaked. I still prefer to not have things spoiled. But then because of that, you know, the way the Call of Duty community is, people know that I don't like stuff being leaked, so they will go out of their way to leave a message or to send a DM to be like, now you know this. And it's like, oh, that's annoying. That doesn't actually happen that much, but it happens. Like, I would say each season I probably get 1 or 2 messages like that. So, you know, one thing every couple of months isn't that bad. But it's just like, it's a frustrating experience that, like, that I can't stop. You know, like, there's no way to stop that kind of thing. It does make me think, like, if I did end up going for this job that starts next year, I would probably just, like, cut off from the Call of Duty community entirely and just play games the way I want to play them and stop worrying about all of this stuff, because it's like, it makes games less fun for sure. Just reading a few of the other comments. Simon Nuttall said, trust me, you're not on your own. Oh yeah, 100%. Like, I realize, especially content wise, it's like, when people look at content creators, they don't see the ones that don't do well. Like, you see the people who are really successful, and you see people who are making loads of money from it. You see people who have, like, loads and loads of followers and really vibrant, active communities. And it's easy to think, like, oh, being a content creator is great because that happens. And the problem is, like, the ones who are struggling, you know, the ones like when I was last night streaming Call of Duty to like 14 people on Twitch, you're not seeing that, because if you're not one of those 14 people, you're not seeing that that sort of thing's happening as well. And that's happening to way more people. That's happening to tens of thousands of people around the world. And then the people that are making it is, you know, dozens of people around the world. And so it's a really difficult kind of thing to do. And you never know, like, you never know when you're going to make it. Like, you never know when it's going to kick off. Like, I've had, like I said, when DMZ launched, I was at the point where I was like, oh, I don't know if I can keep on doing this. I was looking for jobs then. And then DMZ came out, and suddenly I had a load of interest in my channels. I was making more money than I had when I was a teacher. I was, like, getting loads more viewers than I ever had before in my streams. It was awesome, you know, and it didn't last. It lasted a few months, but it didn't last forever. But it was like, now I'm feeling back into, like, oh, I don't really know if I want to keep doing this. Like, I need to get another job. I need to make money somehow. And then it's like, you never know, something might come out that'll kick off and everything will be amazing again. Maybe, you know, tonight there'll be an incredible Easter egg with the new Call of Duty map with Vondel, and I'll do it, and then someone huge will pick up on my video and get, suddenly I'll get 10,000 new subscribers and everything will be amazing and I'll suddenly have a really vibrant channel again. Like, maybe this Starfield thing will kick off and that'll work. And like, I think the goal of a content creator, or the best advice I could give to someone who wanted to be a content creator, is try to make as many of those opportunities as you can. Like, there is definitely a massive element of luck involved, but it's like, if you're not trying to make those opportunities possible, and you're not trying to put out good content that would make the most of those opportunities, then they're definitely not going to happen. So, it's that whole thing, was it, if you don't take a shot, every shot you don't take definitely misses, or whatever. So I can't remember what the actual saying is. You miss every shot you don't take, something like that. And it's something like that. Like, you want to take lots of shots, you want to have a go at everything. So every season I come back and do some videos and stuff like that. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. Every new game that I'm interested in, I try making a bit of content for it. I give it a go, see if it works. And then, so, sometimes something kicks off and a lot of the time it doesn't. And the frustrating thing, I think, for a content creator, and the thing that's kind of getting me down a bit lately about it, is that sometimes it's not the things that you put lots of work into that do well. I can spend hours putting something together, like that Starfield video I did the other day. So much time goes into something like that. That was a lot of effort. And then it doesn't do very well. And it's like, that's very, dispiriting. It's like, oh, I just spent hours and hours of my life and I've got 20 pence from that video or something. And then, other times you'll just record something on a whim. Like, you'll be doing something in game and be like, oh, that's cool. Make a quick video about it, post it online, just being like, yeah, what's this? And then that'll make you £300. And it's like, what? Like, why can't I just do that every time? So yeah, like, any advice, content creator, try to spread your net as wide as possible in terms of grabbing any opportunities you can, because it's hard to predict which ones will pay off, which is difficult. So just going through the other bits. Paolo said, are you going to stay on Twitch even with all the new changes now? They rolled back all of those changes. They're not really happening. The other things that they've changed don't really affect me. They've made it so you definitely can't, even if you're not an affiliate, you can't stream to Twitch at the same time as other platforms. I wouldn't be surprised if they got rid of that at some point, but fine. The branding changes, they reverted all of those. That didn't really affect me that much in the first place, because I don't have that many sponsors. It's rare that I have a sponsor, and I can always talk to sponsors and organize things. I think that was worse for people who go through agencies, like, which I don't have an agent or anything like that. So yeah, that didn't really affect me. The Twitch stuff that affects me is more like they put on a lot of adverts and they don't pay very much. Like, that's the stuff that affects me, and that hasn't really changed, to be honest. So it doesn't really matter. Name Gear said, you enjoyed the podcast. You think a great idea. Thank you, Mitch. I appreciate it. I do. I'm hoping that these podcasts become a thing where it just becomes part of people's routine. And then more and more people like listen to one because they are interested in the topic. And then they're like, oh, I'll do that more and more. And then the audience grows. Like I said, it's just that the audience isn't growing. That's kind of annoyed me. Twitch is your go-to to watch streams. You like the sense of community on it. Yeah, 100%. Like, it's like, I get that loads of people badmouth Twitch, and I get loads of people have problems with Twitch. Like I said, I was a Twitch partner, and then I gave that up purposefully because I didn't like the company, and I didn't like the way they were treating creators, and I didn't like a lot of things. That being said, I have tried streaming on basically every bloody platform there is, and Twitch still gets a lot of stuff right that the others don't. Like, it's just, Twitch is much better with add-ons and extensions. Twitch is much better for community elements. Twitch is just a very, very good platform for casually watching someone playing a game. YouTube is quite good for if you want to watch something in particular, like an event, that sort of thing. YouTube works quite well for it. Trovo's a really interesting one where they keep on trying to get me to go back to Trovo. Trovo's a really interesting one where I think they actually have better features than Twitch, but they overcomplicated everything and it's a complete mess and no one's bloody watching anything on there, which is a problem. It's interesting looking at different platforms, but I do think Twitch is genuinely for the sort of thing that I want to do, which is I want to decide, okay, from 10 o'clock to 4 o'clock, I'm going to stream. I don't know what I'm going to stream. I might swap games halfway through. I might be doing something. Sometimes I might just be chatting, whatever. Twitch is perfect for that. And I think YouTube's quite bad at that. Like, YouTube's quite bad because, you know, with YouTube, you have to have a title and a thumbnail set, and then you have to set what game you're playing. And if you change it halfway through the stream, then the VOD looks weird because, you know, you'll say, oh, I'm playing Fortnite because that's the last thing you played. But the first 4 hours of the stream are you playing Warzone. You know, it has problems. There's issues. I feel like YouTube's not really set up for the sort of streaming that I would like to do. Again, YouTube is very good if you do one thing. If you do one thing, YouTube is amazing. Alpha said you came to my channel through watching Lackey and Westy. You stayed because I offered a different voice to most creators. Yeah, I mean, that's always been my thing that I've like pushed for a little bit, is that I wanted to be different. I've always like backed off a bit, and you know, I'm sure it's been to my detriment that when I first started YouTube and Twitch, I watched some of those videos where people were like, this is what you need to do to grow your channel and stuff. And it's like, I just didn't want to copy someone else. I didn't want to do content in a way someone else did. Instead, I wanted to do content that I would want to watch. Like, I wanted to make content that I didn't feel serving. Like, it's something that I found amazingly common across content creators, is that we don't watch very much content. That, like, we don't watch many streamers. We don't watch many YouTube videos. And a big part of that, I think, is, you know, we want to make something because we don't like the things that already exist. You know, I used to want to watch Call of Duty streamers, and everyone seemed like they were super shouty and screamy and toxic, and it was all hyper competitive. And, you know, me and my friends were having fun in Blackout, being like, let's land and all get quad bikes. And it's like, there just didn't seem to be people who were like that. Like, it didn't seem to be people who were just having a bit of a laugh and stuff. And then when I saw people talking about games on Twitter, it seemed like lots of people are very kind of, you know, down with the man, anti-corporation, anti-developer, everything's a conspiracy theory. And I hated that. I thought, actually, no, you know, one of the people voices that I really liked in the kind of game critic community was Huber on Easy Allies, or used to be on Game Trailers, and Carl Bosman, because they just talked about how much they liked stuff. And it was like, that was really nice to watch, just people being excited about things, like people just being hyped about something that was coming out was really infectious and really, like, it made me feel better. I think people take games way too seriously. Like, and I know that's obviously a bit funny, it's coming from someone who plays games all day and makes videos about games all day and talks about games all day. But people take games too seriously. They're just toys. Like, they're just toys. At best, they're art. You know, they take a full scale of art to toy. At worst, they are a time sink, a time waster. They make you addicted to wasting time. But at best, they are fun and they are social things, or they make you feel something and there's something emotional about them, which I really like. But when people start taking them, the way people talk about Call of Duty, and they talk about it as if like ranks matter, as if like unlocking camos matter, as if like, I don't know, as if like it's an important part of life. I think that's wrong. Like, I don't want to make content that reinforces that idea. You know, I often get comments from people when I do the Easter egg videos or the DMZ guide videos being like, oh, but you're not showing the rewards. What are you showing the rewards? And it's like, it's kind of like, that's not an accident. That's like, I don't think you should be doing stuff in video games to get the rewards, if that makes sense. I don't think that should be your motivation, because I think that's making you, it's your brain tricking you into thinking that those things matter, and they just don't. And, you know, that when I was doing the nuke stuff yesterday, I was just thinking to myself, I was playing with NameGo, and I spoke to NameGo a bit about afterwards, and it's like, I wasn't having fun doing the thing. I was doing the thing because I wanted to get the skin at the end of it, and it's like, I'm not even going to use that skin. I'm probably just going to keep using a bloody rabbit skin or something stupid like that. Like, why is my brain tricking me into thinking that I really want this thing? It's just fear of missing out. It's just FOMO. And it's like, that's a really negative thing in gaming. And I think that gets pushed to the forefront a lot more. People are like, what am I going to get out of this game? And it's like, fun, hopefully. And if you're not having fun, then stop playing. And, you know, yesterday, it put me, me playing Call of Duty for 2 hours put me in such a bad mood. I was in quite a good mood yesterday. Played Call of Duty for 2 hours, was in a terrible mood. And it's like, that you to the point where I was like, I need a different job. I need to stop the content creation. Like, that's super dangerous. And that's kind of, so that's why I've always been like wanting to provide an alternative voice. And, you know, in theory, I've always been like, oh, I want to be like the voice of hype and positivity, like Huber is. And then in practice, it doesn't work because there's loads of things that make me angry, like the toxicity and the homophobia and the misogyny and the and, you know, to a much less important degree, the spoilers and the leaks and the data miners and the dev bashing and stuff like that. All of that stuff makes me angry, and then I moan about that, and then that makes me negative, and then people are like, oh, you're always whining. And that's like very frustrating. And I've got the other big problem is I'm very antisocial, and I don't like a lot of people. And those of you who have watched me for a while know that there's very few people that I like. I really struggle to like people. And that's not a good personality trait to have. That's not a good personal quality to have. That's like a failing on my part. That I'm always in awe of the people who always have nice things to say about people and are always being super positive about people. Johnny, who I play with a lot, 50-foot snail, he's someone who, like, everyone notices that, I think. That he hardly ever has a bad word to say about someone. He's always being positive about people. He seems to like everyone. And it's like, that's super good. That's super nice. Whereas I'll be super angry with my best friends while playing a video game and criticizing them, and like that's not good. Let alone people in chat and stuff, like strangers who I don't know. You can wind me up so easily and just make me think the worst of you. And that's not good for any of this. That's like probably the thing holding me back the most in all of this. Texas says, I may be way off, but you've been expecting me to take up a community manager type role. I've definitely applied for community manager roles at Frontier. I think I've applied for one at Frontier. The problem with doing community manager stuff, I would love to. If there's anyone out there who is hiring for a community manager, I would love to do it after I've just said that I hate everyone. I would love to do something like that. The biggest problem, I think, is that I don't have any experience in that kind of role professionally, and lots of other people do. Like, there's not that many community managers in the UK, especially people who live around me. You know, Frontier's only in Cambridge, so I could get there fairly easy. I could commute there. There's not that many roles, and there's a lot of people who are very qualified. You know, they have marketing degrees, they have experience of doing community management. And while I obviously do have experience of doing community management, you know, you could be like, oh, but you've been managing, you know, a YouTube community, a Twitch community, a Discord community, and stuff like that. It is different when you're doing it for a business and you're doing it to make money. Like, that's a different kind of thing. And so other people are much more experienced than I am in that. I would still, you know, if the opportunity came up, I would jump at it. If there was any game studio that I could drive to from here that was like, oh, I could do it remotely, that was like, hey, we need a community manager, and they were willing to pay more money than I earn now, which, you know, isn't hard. They can just pay me minimum wage, really. Then, you know, I'd be jumping at that. I think but it's just very hard to find those roles. I do agree that I think community management would be a thing that I would really like to do. And, you know, I've got ideas about things I would like to do. I've been doing a lot of web development learning, with the idea of maybe, you know, making ARG websites and things like that for companies. I think I could probably do a lot of that stuff, and I'd probably be quite good at it. I would love to do like hosting for, you know, gaming shows and things like that. You know, if like Xbox wanted to hire me to do Xbox On like they do with Benny, or outside Xbox needed an extra person, or, you know, whoever. If some company wanted someone to like stream for them, I've even sent a thing like that about that to someone at Activision, just being like, hey, one of the things that people are criticizing Activision for is like their communication with the audience and stuff. I would be happy to write blog posts and to do little videos explaining things. You know, like how YouTube do. I don't know, if you're a YouTube creator, you probably know they do little weekly videos where they update people on what's going on with YouTube. I'd be happy to do something like that for Activision. I'd be more than happy. You know, and I could do Blizzard and Call of Duty games. But yeah, I'd be more than happy to do stuff like that. But it's a competitive thing to get into. Just seeing what else. Very Viking Crow said, it must be really difficult. Hope you continue. Thanks, appreciate it. Would love to see me do a round or two of Stod, Westy, and Jack. Yeah, I have played with them a little bit. I played some Starship Troopers with them the other day, actually. Like, it's always super nice. Like, Jack Frags has been an incredible source of support throughout all of, you know, basically since I started doing content creation, since I started taking it seriously. He's been like unbelievably helpful and kind. And, you know, when I do get to play with them, that's awesome. It's obviously, you know, it's difficult because they've all been friends for years and years and years. So whenever I hop in, I don't want to feel like I'm out of place. And that's why I try not to pester like Lackey and Broken and Stod and Westy and Jack and all of those people too much to be like, hey, can I play with you? Just because I don't want to like kill their vibe. I know I talk a lot as well. I should shut up when I play with them. But yeah, when I get a chance to, I jump on it. You know, if any of them, if Stod and Westy were like, hey, do you want to play DMZ today? I'd literally drop basically whatever I was doing and be like, yes, 100%, hop on. Yeah, it's very cool. Skinner said the only problem with podcasts is that you rarely have the morning free from work to watch them. Yeah, I have and ahed about changing the time of the podcasts. Like, the real reason I do the podcast now is partly because I thought it'd be a fun routine for people who could, like, watch it, you know, when they have time in the morning. Because, like, you know, obviously this comes out as a VOD. So people could be like, watch it when they're on their break, watch it before they go to, like, Americans could watch it in the morning because the VOD will be out by the time they wake up for the day, which I thought like that's kind of a cool thing. I didn't want to do it in the evening just because I do stuff in the evening. Like, you know, like another part of content creation life that I think a lot of people don't think about very much is the sort of idea of a work-life balance, that I don't want to be doing stuff every evening, but when my wife's home, I want to do stuff when my wife's at work, so then I get to spend time with my wife. You know, so it's like, this evening, I'll be playing Call of Duty from when she gets home, which kind of sucks. Like, that's not a great time for me. But yeah, I have thought about doing these in the evening instead. It's just, yeah, I don't want it to get in the way of doing other stuff. I don't want it to always be like, hey, honey, you're home. I'm going to go do some work now. I don't want to do that, basically. Not worth it. Which pays better? What do you mean, William Mariping? Which pays better, teaching or content creation? For me, right now, teaching was way better. I don't mind. I know people are always meant to be like, people are meant to be really, don't know what the word is, guarded about how much money they earn. I don't mind saying I don't earn hardly anything. Like, literally right now, in a normal month, I'm earning about £1,000 on like an okay month. £1,000 a month. That means £12,000 a year. In dollars, that's like, I don't know, $15,000. That's like nothing. I'm living off the fact that I have savings because I was teaching for 13 years and didn't spend that much of my money. And I was, you know, fairly well paid as a teacher, so I've been teaching 13 years. And I don't have kids. I don't smoke or anything like that. I don't really drink. The only expenditures we have really are the holidays, and my wife, bless her, pays for most of that stuff, like most of the holidays. So I earn enough to cover my bills and the mortgage. And that's it really. You know, and then I think about the stuff that I spend money on is like hardware for the stream and computers and video games. And I've barely spent any money on any of that for the last 2 years because I've been lucky enough to be successful enough that I get pretty much all of that for free. Like, I don't really buy, it's very rare I have to buy games now. I bought Zelda this year with my own money. And like, that might be it. That might be the only game I've bought this year. Because Nintendo won't work with me because I play Call of Duty. But like, yeah, like, I don't really. Oh, Metroid as well, Metroid Dread. I bought that. I don't really have to buy games, so yeah, I get by on very little money at the moment, like very, very little. And you know, occasionally I've had the odd month. I think I had 1 month just after DMZ came out, maybe like January. I think I made like £4,000, something like that, and that was like a crazy good month. Like, that was an insanely good month for me. And that was like, oh, I could keep doing this forever. But at the moment, it's very much like I'm doing this as long as I can because it's super nice. Like, don't get me wrong, content creation is a bit of a dream. That I wake up in the morning, I talk about video games for an hour to you guys, which is awesome. And then I play games for maybe a couple of hours. I make a video and I enjoy making videos. I like making videos. That's fun. So I tend to make a video. Then maybe I play games for a little bit more and stream a little bit more. And, you know, I don't have to leave the house. I can wear what I want. If I want to take a day off, like we're going to Abu Dhabi tomorrow, we can just go. It doesn't matter. Like, I don't, like, it doesn't affect anything. Like, we can just go on holiday when we want. You know, some days, like, my wife doesn't work Thursdays and Fridays. And so it's like, sometimes it's Thursday or Friday, and I'll just be like, let's go for breakfast. Let's just go out. Let's go to the cinema. Like, I can do that. I have that kind of freedom. So it's like, this is an incredibly good job. It's just more that I don't have any money, and I don't have enough money to like pay my way for holidays and stuff, and I don't have enough money to be saving for retirement. You know, I've got a bit of my pension from when I was teaching 13 years, but that's not going to be great because it was only 13 years. And I don't have enough money to, like, my savings are slowly going down rather than up, which is not a great thing when you're approaching 40 fairly rapidly. So like, yeah, I made a lot more money teaching, and that's kind of why I'm thinking about going back to teaching. It's like I'm umming and ahhing about maybe getting another teaching job. Just it's very stressful. I was quite miserable a lot of the time while doing it, but it was a very steady job. I felt proud of what I was doing, which was good. You know, I had like a lot of, I felt good telling people I was a teacher, whereas now I'm vaguely embarrassed when I'm like, I'm a content creator. So, you know, there's benefits, like very stressful, very bad hours, but you do get holidays and you get paid well. So maybe, and I'm, you know, I feel like I'm quite good at it. Which is also something that matters. Whereas this, it's like very different with like being a teacher and feeling like you're quite competent at it. You know what you're doing. I know English very well. I know the subject. I know how to teach. Like, so that stuff is good. Whereas with content creation, I feel like I'm constantly failing a bit. Like I'm constantly looking at other people being like, hey, look at this video I got. They got 1 million views. And I'm looking at a video that I worked on for 6 hours that's got 400 views. And I'm like, yeah, I'm doing this badly. Like there's that element of it is very bad for your mental health, just constantly feeling like you're not doing well enough. Do you think it got you like that because you were going for a nuke and not just to have fun? Yeah, 100%, Andy. I just think like that's a bad thing in gaming. Like, why was I going for something in a video game that wasn't fun? That was my problem when I was going for a nuke. It was like, why am I doing something that isn't like fun while I'm doing it? Like, what's gonna be good once I get it? You know, what benefit am I gonna have if I get a nuke? And I was just like, this is bad. Like, this is just a waste of time. I'm just making myself miserable for no reason. That was a shame. Afa said the extroverted introvert course, the ability to talk to people, but you don't want to. Yeah, 100%. I've never heard of that before, but I've definitely have that, Afas. I feel like I'm quite good at public speaking. I'm quite good. You know, I can be quite eloquent and I'm quite good at explaining stuff. But I don't like talking to people very much. That's not true. I like talking to some people. I just don't like talking to many people. I feel like I can be quite judgy about people, maybe. Anthony said, I used the M4, love that gun. Okay. Got the mastery done and got a charm. Yeah. I've never, to be honest, I've never really got the whole grinding and Call of Duty thing. Grinding in any game, like I've been enjoying Diablo 4. I'm wearing my Diablo 4 thing that NameGig got me. I've been enjoying Diablo 4, but I've got to the point where I'm level 61 now with a druid. And it's like, I was talking to someone on the Discord yesterday being like, what do I do now? Like, do I just do the same thing over and over again until I'm level 100 and then stop? I was like, that's not fun. That's not like, I'm not massively enjoying that part of the game. Just a grind. I don't think I've ever enjoyed grinds of games. I can't detach it in my head from looking at it. And someone was like, oh, you know, I did this dungeon for 50 hours and then I went up 20 levels. And it's like, you did what for 50 hours? That's 2 days of your life. You don't have that many days of your life. Like 2 entire days of your life spent repeating something to make a number in a video game go up. Like that's not good. That's horrific. You're always welcome to just jump in and have some proper gaming fun with you anytime, Verifying Crew. Too many people being too serious and just not enjoying the experience of others. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Hey, Ninja Cat, by the way. And yeah, like, yeah, don't forget to hit the like button. That does help me a bunch. Right, we've just spent an hour of me just talking about my feelings. I was like, last night, I was thinking, I definitely need to not do this. I was like, in my head, I was like, oh, last night, you know, I was up all night just being like, God, what should I do? Should I go back to teaching? Should I just quit content creation? Should I go all in on this Starfield stuff? Should I maybe carry on content creation for a while, see how it goes for another few months? You know, I was just umming and ahhing about stuff. And I was like, you know what I shouldn't do? I shouldn't tell everyone about it because that's, you know, just whining. You shouldn't go on. No one wants to see you just in your head, in your feelings about stuff. No one will see that, so I should just go do the podcast tomorrow, do the news as per normal, do the Call of Duty stream, blah, 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 carry on as normal, and then just think it over yourself. And then I come in this, and I didn't even plan on doing this when I started the podcast. I was like, okay, I'll just mention that I've started the Starfield channel, and then I'll move on. And now here I am a year later. It feels like a year. An hour later, just being like, oh, okay, that's just what I did for an hour. And I've got more viewers than I've had for quite a while on the podcast. Cool. Good for me. But, maybe that's what's different about me. I don't shut up about myself. That's so rare in today's day and age. A white guy. A middle-aged, white, straight man talking about himself and his perspectives on things. How unusual, how rare. Right, should we talk about the news for a little bit? Because we've got a little bit of time. A little bit. Yeah, I have been unloading. I appreciate you all. This is just therapy for me. It's therapy, but some of you pay me. That's amazing. Right, should we talk about the news? There is a couple of things going on. The big thing that I actually wanted to talk about today, as in the most important news thing, I think, is Overwatch have done something super weird. So Overwatch, some of you know, I talked about it. Overwatch 2 was announced with a campaign, and one of the big changes for Overwatch 2, other than it going free to play, was that it was going to have a campaign, and it was going to have like story and missions, and they were like, it's not just going to be a crappy co-op mode, it's going to be proper missions, like a proper single-player FPS campaign. And people were excited about that, because the Overwatch story is actually pretty cool, but just, not told very well because it's a multiplayer game. It's told a lot in like cutscenes that are outside of the game, which is a bit weird. Anyway, then they cancelled it all, and they said, yeah, we're not going to do that. Overwatch 2 is just going to keep on with the multiplayer stuff. And then they announced like yesterday or the day before that they are going to release free story missions. So I guess these were things that they were working on that they were like, yeah, these are good enough to release. We'll put these out. But they're going to charge you $15 for them. That seems utterly bizarre to me. Like, that seems like such a weird thing. And it's odd. Like, my first thought was like, what? Who the hell's going to pay for that? That's such a con. But then I was also thinking, but also this is kind of what people have been saying they've wanted for a long while, is that, rather than microtransactions, we should have actual content that you buy, you pay $15 if you want to play these missions. And if you don't want to play these missions, you don't pay $15. That's fine. Like, that's kind of the best way of doing monetization in my mind, is you pay for the content you want to play. But it just feels wrong somehow. I think it's because they announced it as being part of Overwatch 2, and they announced Overwatch 2 as being free to play, and people got excited, and then they cancelled it, and then they brought it back, but now you have to pay for it. It just feels like it's like worse than the original vision in every way. It's like they've constantly made the offer worse. Which, when you're talking about a free-to-play game, it's like hard to talk about the offer. I've seen some people saying, oh, like DMZ with Season 4, Crown are still in it, so that means there's still probably going to be a faction that you have to buy the game for. And, like, I don't really see the problem with that. Like, I get it that it's like, it would be better if everything's free. But like we've talked about before on the podcast, that's not reality. That's not how game development works. You can't just make things for free and hope that, people will buy enough skins to pay for it. I mean, I don't know, maybe you can. But that seems like, a very unreliable model. The idea of making content that people pay for is probably the dream. That's going back to my feelings. That's enough news for now. That's something that I always wanted to happen with content creation. Like, Patreon was the dream. And whenever I see a channel that's supported by Patreon, I'm always like, that's it. That's amazing. If I could make content for people where they paid a subscription, you pay £5 a month and I make videos to entertain you and do streams to entertain you, that'd be the absolute dream. That'd be perfect. But it doesn't work like that, because how do you get new viewers in with a model like that? That's very difficult. You either have to, you either put everything behind a paywall and then you never get any new viewers, or you split your content, half between a paywall and half not between a paywall, but then you're either making twice as much content, or the people who are paying are getting half as much. Or you do what I'm kind of doing, which what most people do, where you just make everything free to get as many new viewers as possible, and then you hope some people just give you money out of the kindness of their hearts, which, there's no real reason for you to. Like, you can watch all of my stuff for free. It doesn't matter. Like, you don't need to give me any money. And that's, and that's fine in a way. But still. How many Amin says, how many hours would it take until the new update? 7 hours, Amin. In 7 hours, it will go live. I'll probably go live an hour before. I'll probably go live at 4 o'clock BST. So in 6 hours, I'll be live on Twitch. We'll do something like that, I think. Just, chat, hang out before it goes live, because that's fun. and then get some viewers. Then as soon as it goes live, it's exciting. Yeah. Oh, and then other news. Was there other news? I can't even remember. What else has happened? Power Wash Simulator SpongeBob SquarePants DLC is out at the end of June. Hooray. Jeff Keighley says Summer Games Fest will return 2024. Oh, that was the other thing I was going to do, is I was going to try... I was listening to Kind of Funny, and they were ranking all of the showcases. And I was thinking, like, oh, okay, like, should we rank them? Should we just say what we think about each of the showcases? And I can do this very quickly, and then, like, that maybe that'll be the end of this. So, Sony Showcase, that was the first one. Personally, for me, I would say that Sony Showcase was like a 2 out of 5. I thought there was very little there that, you know, basically nothing that I didn't already know about that made me any more excited for anything. I didn't watch anything at that showcase and be like, I am now more excited than I was before. I wasn't entirely bored through the showcase, like, you know, like seeing, like being, oh my God, there's a Metal Gear Solid 3 trailer and like the Spider-Man stuff. It's like, it wasn't super boring, so I'm not going to give it a 1 out of 5. But it was just like, nothing about it made me any more excited for anything to do with PlayStation. And if anything, it made me a bit more worried about PlayStation, because there were so many games that I was expecting to see there, like Last of Us Factions being the biggest one, that just weren't mentioned. And it's like, oh, so that's probably not going well then. So yeah, Sony conference, 2 out of 5. Then I think the next one was the Summer Games Fest, I'm pretty sure. Summer Game Fest, again, 2 out of 5. I don't think that was good. I thought Summer Game Fest was very boring. I thought the presentation of it was very stilted. I don't think Jeff Keighley's a great person to have on stage talking about that stuff. There was a lot of kind of interviews with people where they were just talking through talking points from a press release that just wasn't interesting, and little in-jokes and stuff that wasn't great. I didn't think the games shown were very interesting. Like, I didn't think there was anything there that I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. It was just a lot of things that I would be, yeah, again, that didn't make me more excited for the future of gaming or anything like that. It was just kind of stuff that we even knew about or just didn't look that great. Lots and lots and lots of trailers of, as I've said before, a white gruff guy with a big sword and some armor in a medieval European fantasy setting. Like, lots of that. And it was just like, I've seen this game before. I don't need to see it again. And also, like, as lots of people pointed out, not a single woman on stage. You know, it was all just like guys talking about the games. It all seemed a little bit like kind of what E3 used to be like in the 90s, which is a shame. You know, it just made gaming look very bland and sort of generic, and kind of the cliche of what gaming would be was basically Summer Games Fest, which was a shame. And then we had the Devolver Digital Showcase. I thought that was good. I would say 4 out of 5 for Devolver Digital. It was very funny, like it always is. That Baby Steps game looked really, really good. Really looking forward to playing that. So it was like nice to have something to be excited about. The other games didn't really do it for me. The other games weren't things I was super excited about, but I enjoyed the showcase just as a thing to watch. I thought it was quite funny. Then we had the Xbox Showcase. I would say 5 out of 5 for that. Absolutely loved the Xbox Showcase. Thought it was incredible. Just so many different games so quickly. Very little talking, wasting time between things. Had a real mix of games, like a real kind of variety of games, and nearly all of them was something that I was interested in. Very colorful all the way through. Like, really kind of, the games that they were showing were unique. Like, the games they were showing had an interesting visual style. The trailers were interesting. It was really good. You know, it wasn't just white guys all the time. It wasn't just men on stage. It was like, I just thought they did a really good job with everything. And the Starfield thing at the end was spectacular. Just one of the best presentations for a game I have ever seen. You know, when there's a game presentation that makes me start a YouTube channel, that's a pretty good endorsement. So 5 out of 5. I can't really think of any other E3 style showcases that I liked more than that one. Like, that was just incredible, I thought. Just really, really good. And it's still, you know, I would say it didn't give me everything I wanted. You know, I would have liked to have seen some more stuff from some of those games that we haven't seen anything from, like Perfect Dark and Everwild. It would have been cool. But for what was there, and there being some big surprises, you know, like the Star Wars game from Ubisoft, and like the Fable trailer being really good, I thought it was really solid. Just really, really good. Then we had the Ubisoft Showcase. I would say the Ubisoft Showcase was again, probably a 2 out of 5. Like, it had a couple of games that looked okay. Avatar and Star Wars looked fine. The Crew looks good. But, like, again, all of those games they were fine. I was more hyped for them before I saw more of them. And now I'm like, yeah, I hope they're good, but they're not the best. And it had loads of really awkward talking bits. Loads of games that I just didn't care about, like mobile games and stuff, like Division Resurgence, I just don't care about. Just a lot of stuff that wasn't. Prince of Persia looked really good. Very excited about that. Star Wars and Avatar looked okay. I'm sure I'll play them. I'm sure I'll enjoy them. The Crew and Assassin's Creed, I will play, but those presentations didn't do more for me to get me more excited about those games. Other than, actually, no, that's not fair. The Crew, seeing the motorbikes and the ATVs and stuff did make me be a bit like, oh, this could be a lot of fun. Like, that side of it could be a lot of fun. That's something that separates it from Forza Horizon, is having these different style vehicles. And having the Formula One car and stuff. That stuff's actually quite exciting. So that was a bit better. Then the Capcom showcase was like a 0 out of 5. There was nothing interesting in it. It was bad from beginning to end. The only thing it did was like show me a little bit more of Dragon's Dogma, but most of that gameplay we'd seen before. Just not interesting at all. Terrible showcase. What a complete and utter waste of time. I know there wasn't an Xbox Extended showcase yesterday. I only watched about an hour of it. I didn't really watch all of it. So I might go back and watch some more of that because it might be fun. I don't know. Just reading stuff a little bit there. Alpha said you're not convinced how long the Patreon model will work. Oh, yeah. The Patreon thing, I just think it's a wonderful thing for the creators. I love the idea of Patreon. I would love to be supported by Patreon. I understand that people probably don't want to keep paying monthly for stuff like that, for content, especially when I used to get it for free. I've said this before. I think I talked about it on a podcast. I genuinely think the way forward for content and for payments and making money from it is going to be subscriptions, but consolidated subscriptions. I think there will be things like streaming organizations. I don't think streaming organizations have ever got it right. That if I was in charge of a streaming organization, I would do something like, and I know this would be very difficult, I would get Westy, Stod, Jack Frags, Lackey, Broken, me, Jaff, put them all together on a one channel where you pay a subscription for that channel. And then within that, you can watch all of our different streams. You get all of our different content, all of our different videos and stuff like that. And you pay, you pay £10 a month and you get all of that content from all of these people who are in some way like-minded, but they specialize on different things. Some of those are more competitive. Some of them do more like of a different kind of game. Some of them do more like talky stuff. Some of them do more gameplay stuff like that. You get a group of people, like an offering like that. Like, when people buy Sky Sports or they buy Disney Plus or they buy Netflix or something like that. And you just try to make an offer where it works, where you do that. And then you think all of those different people, rather than, obviously some of those are massive names, so they would get like a bigger revenue cut or something like that. Or, you base it based on, you'd have to work out contracts on how many hours they do or something like that. But you basically do something like that and then share the revenue. And I think that will be the future, personally. And, whether it'll be like FaZe will have something like that, or Xbox will do their own thing, where it's like Xbox creators, and you sign up for the Xbox creators channel, and you get to watch loads of different Xbox creators doing stuff. I genuinely think that sort of thing will be it. And it already exists. And if you subscribe to something like Eurogamer or IGN or Kinda Funny, or back in the days of Machinima and stuff like that, that's what that is. It's a collection of separate content creators who work together to make a channel. They work together to make a better offering. Because I genuinely think, and this is shooting myself in the foot, and I'm glad there's a few less people watching now. I genuinely think paying £5 a month for one content creator is a lot. That's a lot for considering how much content you probably consume in a month. If you paid every content creator you watch £5 a month, that'd get very expensive very quickly. And what you're getting out of that isn't necessarily worth the much. I mean, some of you watch me for like 4 hours a day, and then it's probably worth it to you. You're getting a lot out of it. But there's, thousands of people that watch me for maybe an hour a month, and then it's not worth it to them. Whereas if you had a channel which has loads of different things, loads of different content on it from loads of different people, and you paid for that, I think that would be worth it. And I think that sort of thing will happen more, and there'll be more like brand loyalty and an organization and stuff, you know, where I would quite like it if, say, there was a channel like that was, you know, people like me and Broken and Jack and Lackey and Jaff and all those people, a channel like that, and it was worked out where there would be 24-hour content. Like there was a streaming schedule where you were guaranteed that there would always be someone streaming who you could watch. There'd always be like 3 videos a day or something. You know, maybe from different people. Maybe one day it'll be like Jack and Broken and Lackey did videos, and the next day me and Jaff and someone else did video. Like something like that, you know, and then there'd be maybe some, like there'd be content on Instagram, content on TikTok. Different people would fill in different gaps. I think that's the model that makes the most sense to me. Is in that's the thing I would pay the most for. You know, that's the thing that I would be happy to pay a subscription for, like £10 a month or something. And it's like, okay, now you're getting all of this content from all of these amazing people. That's, I think, probably the future. And I think that's something that if people started doing more of that, they could really kind of dominate. And, you know, I'm putting myself up there against people who have thousands of viewers on a stream. Obviously, I'd be a tiny part of that compared to a lot of them. But that's kind of the vibe that I'd go for. And then, you know, the other thing that would be really good about that is if you had something where, you know, you'd have the main draws of a channel. So, you know, this channel I'm imagining in my head, you'd have like the big draws would be like the Jack Frags videos, Lackey and Broken streams, you know, where they're people who have thousands of people watching. Those would be like the main draws. But then you could use that channel to introduce other creators. The same way TV channels have like their main shows, and then they introduce other shows, you know, that people might check out because they're a fan of that channel. It'd be that sort of thing. So you'd like get, you know, work a little bit more on things like representation and be like, oh, we're going to like introduce this new person to the channel and give them a chance. You should go check them out. And then try and bring up some kind of new talent and like a range of different perspectives. You know, we could do all of that and then be like, oh, none of us are really like super into doing TikTok stuff. So we're going to get this person in who like really likes doing TikTok, and, you know, we all like them. So we assume that you'll like them, you know, be that kind of situation. Or like, hey, you watch a load of these English streamers, you watch a load of these British streamers that are all on at kind of the same time. Why don't you go watch Fireborn because he's on, you know, in US hours? Or why don't you go watch, you know, like Chrissy, she's on in Australian hours and stuff like that. Just trying to, like, you know, find ways to round out an offering that would be really good for growth. It would be really good for like a steady income for people. And it would, you know, obviously give a much more of a, what's the word? A much better sort of negotiation position for people doing sponsorship deals and stuff like that. And you know, I think a lot of the streaming organizations have done this wrong, where you look at things like Carnage or FaZe or 100 Thieves or anything like that. And I think, to me, it seems like a mistake that they have everything split across lots of different things. You know, you can be a Carnage follower, and it's like, are you going to be like subscribed to Shauna? Are you going to be subscribed to E. coli Espresso? Are you going to be subscribed to Pro Reborn? And it's like, these are all completely separate things that they have that name in common, and they might talk about each other and occasionally do collaborations. But you, as a fan of Carnage, are only picking and choosing a couple of little bits from that. I think it'd be much better if there was like a channel, I don't know what the word, like a platform that was that. You know, a platform that was, hey, this is, you know, and I know Corridor Crew have tried doing something like this. Linus Media Group have tried doing this, where they've got, you know, Linus has Float Plane, Corridor Crew have whatever their thing is called. And it's like, hey, this is a separate subscription. You get exclusive content here. We control the platform. We control everything about it. I think that would be awesome. That would be a very cool thing to do. But, you know, I'm not sure I actually will. I'm not sure whether anyone would do that. You would need people with a lot of capital and a lot of pull at the beginning to start it up. You know, I couldn't start up. There's no way I could be like, hey, I'm starting up this channel where it's going to have some exclusive content and some free content. Like, Jack Frags, do you want to join it? Like, do you want to sign a contract to make content for my channel? Like, obviously they're not going to do that. Like, it has to be the other way around. It has to be someone like Jack Frag starting it and then signing people like me. Like, it has to be that way. But yeah, I that's my vision of what the future of content creation should be. And I would like, if someone tried to set something like that up, you know, like someone like Jack tried to set something like that up, I would jump at it, the chance. I would be like, yep, 100%, sign me up. I would love to have a niche within a channel like that, with a bit more structure and a bit more of like a broader offering for people, where it's like clear, like this is what you're paying for, this is what you're getting. This whole thing at the moment where you've got 1 million people making their own channels and everyone asking for £5 a month doesn't seem sustainable. It doesn't seem right. And especially as there's more and more and more and more free content, that devalues content as it is, and causes problems. Anyway, we've been talking about all sorts of stuff. How the hell am I going to name this? I was saying I was going to talk about Call of Duty Season 4. Barely mentioned it, to be honest. I'm going to be streaming that probably from 4 o'clock BST over on twitch.tv/Geeky Pastimes. Come check that out. Please do have a look at it. Follow me over there. It would be nice to see as many of you as possible. And then after that, like I said, I'm not going to be about for a while now. I'm not going to be about for just over a week. I'll be back on the 23rd of June. So if you want to follow me, in the meantime, check me out on Instagram, Geeky Pastimes on Instagram. When I'm on holiday, that's generally where I post. I just post photos of roller coasters and food, essentially, and the view from my hotel room, probably. But yeah, come check that out. And then, other than that, I'll see you in a week, unless I see you later for the stream, which I should. Right, goodbye.